Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So not too long ago, I took this truck from Phoenix, Arizona to Boulder, Colorado, about 1,800 miles round trip. It was absolutely mind-blowing, the fuel economy that I got. This is the 3.0 Duramax diesel that I have in this truck. And I want to talk about overall fuel economy, DEF costs, and just overall, I guess, what this truck was like on such a long road trip. One thing I'm going to tell you guys first off the bat is I was a little bit concerned about this. When I bought this truck, I had seen so many comments from people that had said that these seats are just unbearably uncomfortable because they're stiffer. Now, I'm coming from the 2021 Ford F-150, and everybody who's ever talked about any comfort in trucks and has experienced both, they always talk about how amazing the Ford seats are. And I was worried about that when I bought this truck because I did not want to have a situation where I was uncomfortable. So getting in this truck, first, right off the bat, yes, the seats are harder. I don't know if I'm the only person who has ever experienced this with the change from Ford to GM, but what I learned between owning both trucks is that yes, the F-150 was like a Barca lounger. The thing just felt like you sat and just kind of sank into the seat, super comfortable. However, someone like me who has a bad lower back, after about an hour or two tops behind the wheel, I started to get a really stiff lower back. So this truck, I don't have that at all. I find that they actually have a little bit more support because they're stiffer, and I was able to go hours without having to get, I think I went, the longest stretch was like, I don't know, 4 hours. Not once did I have an issue with my back. I had to stop because I had to go to the bathroom. With the Ford, I found myself on occasion actually pulling off the road to get out and just stretch my back for a little bit. So my experience seems to be the complete opposite of what a lot of other people out there say. But I think, honestly, it's one of those things where the Ford seats being soft, it's kind of like trickery. You get in there and you're like, oh, these are so comfortable. And then you get on the GMC or the Chevy, because I think they're both the same, and you're like, oh, it's so firm. So I think the initial impression is that softer equals better. My experience is that harder equals firmer equals more support and longer time behind the wheel on a long road trip. I had zero problems with these seats. I actually think they're super comfortable. And I actually just got a comment from somebody yesterday saying how the steering wheel is too skinny. Yes, the Ford is bigger. I prefer the thicker steering wheel of the Ford. After about 20 seconds of driving this truck, I never thought about the steering wheel again until someone dropped that comment. And I was like, oh yeah, the Ford steering wheel was a little bit thicker. This is plenty comfortable for a long road trip, and I think it's proportioned perfectly fine. Overall, the interior impressions of this, I love this truck. I think that this truck is leaps and bounds better than the F-150 that I owned. Also, here we are, 9,310 miles. I have not been in the shop one time. My Ford could not say the same thing. Now, before we get into the miles per gallon conversation, let me show you guys here why I was so impressed with the results that I got. This truck on this trip was sitting on these Toyo tires. These are open country AT3s. This is a 35-inch tire, 11.5 inches wide. Now, a lot of people on their off-road setups or their trucks, tire packages that they get, go with 12.5-inch wide tires. I went with these Toyos specifically because they're only 11.5 inch, which is still plenty, but having 1 inch narrower theoretically is going to reduce rolling resistance and improve miles per gallon, and really not honestly impact off-roading really much of anything, in my opinion. I've also got the King shocks that were on here, front and rear. So this thing is actually picked up about 1 inch from the already lifted 2 inches that these trucks are from the factory over the stock trucks. There is no front air dam, but I do have the Talons Garage skid plates underneath here, and those do make an impact on, I guess, potentially slipstream underneath the truck. I did track the miles per gallon by actual fuel ups, which is the best way to do it. But before I went on this trip, I went out of my way to make sure that I got an accurate reading. This is the module necessary to get the speedometer and odometer all calibrated for the larger tires, because GM in their new Global B architecture has basically locked down the ECM on these things so much that you can't just go and get the computer reprogrammed for the new tire size. You need this like intermediate box. I bought it, put it on there just so that I could get an accurate reading from the gauges as well to confirm back and forth my actual calculated to what the computer was saying. So far, I am in love with this Duramax diesel. It has been amazing. So I have all the numbers here. Let's talk total MPG. Now, when we get into this, I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm absolutely blown away by these numbers is because I was not hypermiling this trip. As a matter of fact, I was trying to get there as quickly as I possibly could and return. So the total distance, 1,784.2 miles. This was based on tracked fuel ups with the Fuely app, which is what I use to track my fuel consumption. The total average MPG, 20.3 MPG. This is a 6,000 pound almost pickup truck, and it is like pushing a brick through the wind. My average speed was 77 miles per hour. We were going up and down through mountains, and the max speed might or might not have been 96.3 miles per hour. So I was boogieing quite a bit. The weather conditions, the temperatures varied from, it was basically an average of 41.2 degrees, and the low got down to like 15.8. So leaving Phoenix in the wintertime, it's typically warmer, and then you start heading north, and you remember that weather exists elsewhere in the country. Total ascent across both legs averaged 31,701 feet. I know this because I also track all of my trips with the Garmin GPS unit. I'm going to make another video on that coming up in the near future. All right, so let's talk dollars and cents here. The total breakdown between diesel and DEF, I spent $368. Comparing this now, this is where it's critical because I'm coming out of the 2021 Ford F-150. Yes, I also had larger tires, a lift, all that stuff on that truck as well. But that truck got nothing compared to what this did. With the F-150 Hybrid, which I tracked all of my fuel consumption the entire time I owned that truck, it averaged 16.2 MPG. Right now, the average MPG on this truck that I'm getting is actually 19.7. So 20.3 on a long road trip, 19.7 for daily driving, so around city, things like that. And the F-150 was 16.2. So all in, we're getting 3 MPG better in daily driving, but on the highway, it's even better. Now, the F-150, comparing fuel costs, it's important to remember the F-150 requires premium fuel, which is around $4.20 per gallon. If I had done this trip in that truck, I would have spent $462.57, $95 savings on that one trip alone in this truck. That's pretty considerable. And what's crazy about that is the F-150, that hybrid, is supposed to be the efficient truck. Yet on the long hybrid runs, the Duramax really flexes, with its fuel economy. Not to mention the diesel torque and range makes it feel like it's much better on a road trip. I like the power delivery of this diesel and how the transmission is tuned way better than I did with the 2021 F-150 PowerBoost. Now that PowerBoost with the hybrid setup, the twin turbo, the 3.5, that V6, it's got a ton of power. When you get into those turbos, it is a monster. But I just find this truck to be more of a refined truck for daily driving. So the power isn't there as much, but don't sleep on the torque and power out of this diesel. It has all of the power you need when you need it, and I just find it to be the much better truck. Now, I know a lot of Ford fanboys are going to get really pressed about me saying all this stuff. I get comments from people all of the time, like I've somehow got some horse in the race here between these trucks. I don't care that I owned this one. I owned the Ford. I would tell you which one was better. If the Ford was better, I would tell you I missed my Ford. That is who I am. I've done it on this channel for years, and my reputation will kind of show that. However, there's plenty of people who will just watch one video, make a complete assumption to say that like GM's paying me or some nonsense, and kind of go down that road. But I'm telling you that this thing was a monster. I was blown away. 20.3 MPG. with me hauling ass from Phoenix to Boulder, going through, you know, leaving here when it was warm, driving up into the snow. I actually had it in 4-wheel drive at one point in time because the weather actually got pretty bad. And just absolutely mind blown with the MPG out of this truck. So with that being said, guys, I wanted to come out here and just make a video talking about my experience so far with this truck MPG wise. I'll make some other videos as my ownership experience goes on. I do have one appointment scheduled for the dealership because there is a computer programming recall here for some sort of like battery drain issue that was going on, like I think a couple of years ago, that needs to get addressed. It's been out for a while. I just never went and got the recall done because it wasn't really critical in my opinion. But I am gonna go get that done. And that is really kind of it. I'll probably make a video talking about some of the interior stuff. I've got some mods coming electric wise. Got a lot of stuff going on with this truck, and I've just kind of been slouching on some videos lately. But with that said, thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to see more updates on this truck, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Actually, I'll see you guys tomorrow because I'm doing daily videos until I hit 100,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow.